Hello guys, my name is Lo. My research question is how does uneven development transform social identity? Before answering that, let's have a look at phenomenology and identity in space. To begin with phenomenology, instead of human senses, we'll just focus on its core definition. In fact, we cannot define phenomenology in one exact way because, according to Farina in 2014, lack of thematic focus can result into a final definition to be either wrong or contradictory. Phenomenology is nothing but a style of thought, an open and continually revived experience, giving various results. However, we can define it based on a reliable work of Edmund Husserl, also known as the grandfather of modern phenomenology. Specifically, his concept points toward the systematic reflection on and study of structures of consciousness and the phenomena that appear in acts of consciousness. So, while we're talking about phenomenology, why is it important? Because it helps researchers to understand how people respond to particular phenomena in order to clarify assumptions and prejudice on human experiences. This means if phenomenology is ignored, erosive phenomena will occur, affecting people's feelings and their rights. Many people are trying to prove most of drawbacks of uneven development are caused by overlooking social sustainability via ignoring phenomenology. How people respond to the development, such as Fan in 2010 via Be Don't Be Afraid, and Villeneuve in 2017 via Blade Runner 2049. Adjacent to phenomenology, identity in space also have a great connection with uneven development. Identity in space is one of 10 kinds of spaces in mise-en-scène. This brings up the idea of relation existing between identity in space not only in film industry but also in architectural studies and applications. In detail, an identity can be understood in a very general way, whether it is identity of something such as building, city, etc., or someone such as human, artificial intelligence, etc. By scrutinizing identity in space, we can understand how specific spaces can create and tag such people and places with a wide range of unique identity. As a result, a well-designed space has a great potential to provide positive social identity, while an unthoughtful design can result into negative consequences such as self-unconsciousness, misled relationship, or even crisis and chaos. Uneven development is an example of unthoughtful design where social sustainability is underestimated, which has been seen in Sao Paulo, Mumbai, and the US based on analysis of those places and the above mentioned movies. It is possible to explore the impact that uneven development has taken on social identity in different ways: overcrowded population and problematic housing policy. Uneven development has badly transformed social identity by overcrowded population. Gotham in 2012 has stated that uneven development poses significant problems towards both developed and developing countries. In developed ones, this movement is one of main factors forming the megacity term, which is a massive site expressing vulnerability to disasters such as earthquakes, droughts, etc. Meanwhile, in most developing countries, uneven development poses a formidable challenge by bringing up issues such as poverty, unemployment, poor sanitation and healthcare, slum occurrence, and downgrade of nature. For instance, Sao Paulo is a city where proliferation has reached 20 million people of population in front of the evaporation of architectural planning and the powerlessness of domestic organizations. The situation is not much better in Mumbai, where population has exceeded 1 million people per square mile, leading to a scene where daily life of people is compacted in a small area without such insufficient resources as healthcare, water, education, and food. The uneven development has pushed cities like Mumbai to the edge, where the only question about the city is its identity and who it belongs to, whether these middle-class residents who actually built the city or those capitalists and politicians who only look after their own profits. In the movie Don't Be Afraid by Dee Van in 2010 has also described how overcrowded population created by uneven development has badly transformed social identity of Hanoi. The movie starts with an ice factory, which is one of the first symbols of the birth of communism in northern Vietnam. Most of works done by hand, old wall, old walkway, and old machines together describe how rusty Hanoi was at the beginning of its urbanization process. Besides, in this factory, there are places whom nobody cares about have become dens of immoral conduct. In another scene, it showed Hanoi streetscape has been turned into shops and stores. This is the consequence of market economy era, where all places, regardless of size, can be used to run business. In another scene, it shows a narrow alley is likely to enclose people into a tightly squeezed box. Outside the box is decorated with fabrics textured with flowers. The decorations, however, are covering a brick wall at the background. The scene emphasizes Hanoi arising with an outlook of a fancy Vietnamese capital, covering its inner of a rusty, crowded, tightly squeezed slum. And then there's a scene of B's father standing on the balcony of an old building, which is valuable because it goes beyond the spatial values to embody a fate of a specific person. An image of an exalted man stuck in outdated moral values contradicts with those new-built skyscrapers on the background. This emphasizes how a person becoming desolated, solitary, and vulnerable is gradually losing his own space to the overwhelming development of the city. This image is a great universal metaphor of Hanoi people losing their identity in an unevenly developed society. In the tightly squeezed Hanoi, the only space providing relief is ironically the Red River nature. Scenes about the Red River are the most vibrant to be filmed in the whole movie. It shows that nature is the only place left for humans to relieve themselves from exhaustion of the city. Hanoi is known for its ancient beauty, attacked with every sweet and sour of a thick history. However, in the present, these values are only remain in poetry. By embodying images, Dee Van in 2010 has successfully reflected the reality of Hanoi, where everyone has lost their social identity to the tiredness brought by uneven development. Alongside with overcrowded population, uneven development can also raise tension among community by motivating unthoughtful government to issue racially problematic housing policies. For example, Harris and Wilkins in 1988 wrote in their quiet riots about the US government in 20th century, who had commanded private banks not to lend blacks and other minorities financial supports for housing purposes, leading to interracial hatred badly rising up in most communities, especially in the industrial north, resulting into violent crises during 1960s. At that time, not only minorities living in rural areas had to face unemployment, lack of education and healthcare, under average income and problematic housing, but also those living in the inner city seemed to be the poorest of the poor. These urban minorities had to face poverty multiplied by the number of each generation of their families they passed through. Harris and Wilkins, 1988. Despite changes made until today, it is stated that as a consequence of uneven development, poverty in the US has been worsened over the past 20 years for the minorities, and will only keep on worsening unless a stronger national commitment can be put in act. Denis Villeneuve in 2017 has also described this issue badly transforming social identity in Blade Runner 2049. The movie starts with a scene of California in the future with a more livable area trapped inside a massive, non-livable one. This clearly shows how disparate the city is in comparison with Los Angeles in later scenes. In addition, the following scene of Kay on his way to assassinate a criminal where everything is covered in mist creates a sense of unpredictability predictably out of control. These two scenes seem to emphasize problems in urban planning that encourages crime and criminal hideouts. By showing Kay returning to police station, it shows not only how far a crime prevention center is from residential areas, but also how the atmosphere of tiredness covers every edge of the overcrowded Los Angeles. Leaving the police station, Kay comes home on his foot. This transitional scene, submerged in shades of black and blue, begins with a cleaning vehicle, showing that alleys between skyscrapers have become so dirty that even after being cleaned, lines are still blurry and lots of dust still remain. Moreover, covered by the darkness that LA has become, these alleys are home to such misconduct as pocket picking, drug dealing, or even racial discriminating between human and replicants. This is clear that common and public areas surrounding residents' houses provide people nothing but senses of insecure and threatening. A sense of Kay on his way to complete a mission has shown an old orphanage, which is now nothing more than a dumping ground. This drastic transformation of identity of a building from a socially important orphanage to a harmful wasteland has emphasized how badly uneven planning can affect not only people but also building in terms of identity. On Kay's journey to find his true identity, the flaming hot Las Vegas, covered in shades of yellow, arises with an image embodying nothing but isolated, rusty ghost town. Ironically, most of replicants are forced to settle down in this non-livable Las Vegas with insufficient resources. As a result, this significantly raises up the existing tension between two races, which has led into war later in the movie. Denis Villeneuve in 2017 has sent a controversial message via this movie, which is about to advise people not to place themselves over the others in regards of differences in races, species, or nationalities. Every decision, especially urban planning, should be sustainable on every aspect, including social dimension.